what you wanna do. You can do what you wanna do. It's inside of you.
So today I will be talking about the Sigma Flat Angle Kabuki F88, and this is a foundation kabuki brush, one of the most popular brushes that you can find in the kabuki sets from Sigma. So if you're interested in knowing if it's worth trying, then just keep watching this video. Thanks.
It's beautiful too. All I really need to understand is I'll be alright.
Because you know I'm all about that bass, about that bass.
Don't tell him, you ain't even gotta tell him.
No trouble, I'm all about that bass, about that bass.
Don't tell him, you ain't even.
So this brush itself is a synthetic brush, and I contacted Sigma about the kind of material that they use, and they told me that they're called Sigma fibers. So basically it's something specific from Sigma which make them different or unique from other brands that you can find maybe in eBay, Amazon, or other places where you can find synthetic fiber brushes that look very much like Sigma. Next thing that I want to talk about is, since this is a foundation brush, I mean, I'm not talking for everybody, but for me it's one of the brushes that I use the most. And I do have quite a few brushes that I like to use for foundation, but this one recently has been my favorite, so I use it every single day since I got it. So I have to wash it more often. So I want to touch a little bit about the brush, the washing of this brush, the brushing of the washing. Yeah, so it has some white bristles at the top, so you can actually tell if it's dirty or if it's totally clean. It takes a little bit more time to wash it than any other of my foundation brushes, but I'm gonna tell you something. It makes sense because this one has 3 times the bristles that the other ones do. So of course it's gonna take me a little bit more time. It's not because of the material that it's made out of, but it's because it has more of them. So I do have to spend a little more time washing it and just making sure that I go through every single bristle, and that it looks, you know, white as a cloud when it's nice and cloudy, white cloudy like it's right now. So anyways, I do like that because it's some kind of way that you can kind of tell if it's dirty or if you have to keep working through this brush and trying to make sure that you remove all the foundation, especially because I use this with a lot of my liquid foundations, and they tend to run underneath the bristles themselves, and of course I need to make sure that I remove all of that to remove all the bacteria. I'm not saying that it's harder to wash, I'm just saying that it may take a little bit longer just because this brush has more bristles in it. Is that I haven't seen any shedding at all. I mean, I've been washing this non-stop since I got it because I'm kind of, I don't know, I kind of freak out about having a dirty foundation brush. So no bristles, it hasn't lost any hairs, which I think it's pretty impressive to be this dense. One of the things that I love the most is for applying my foundation in this area. I don't know about you, but I do have a lot of redness in that specific area. I am very allergic, so I'm always messing with my nose and I'm always cleaning and all that kind of stuff. So usually I tend to get more dry patches in this area because of the tissues and stuff, and I get really red, specific in this area down here and in this area here. When I use a brush, like for instance something flat like this, it doesn't really, it's like it skips that little crevice that I have right there, so it doesn't apply the product. So what I usually used to do is get something like this, which is from Real Techniques, and just go over that specific area and make sure that I get as much coverage as I can, because I don't want to be, you know, my foundation to rub off after a few hours. If I use something like this one, it will just kind of skip that area because it has kind of a, you know, rounded more shape. So that's why I don't use this one. This is the buffing brush from Real Techniques. But this one from Sigma, if you can, I don't know if you'll be able to see, but you know, the angle part, it's on top, and I put it right here. And I put it right here, and it blends the foundation in all the crevices and all these little areas that I have by my nose. I can do it right here, and it will get to every single part of that nose area that I tend to rub off the foundation right away. So I think for that reason it's very special. It's a very special brush in my collection, and that's why I think I've been using it the most. I love to use my beauty blender. That's one of the things, my preferred methods, but if I want to use more of a full coverage effect, I usually go to this one because it gives me a fuller coverage than my beauty blender, but at the same time it looks natural, it doesn't look cakey, and it gets to every single part of my face that it can be hard to reach, and I used to use this brush for. Now this one has been kind of forgotten because I don't feel the need to use more than one brush for my foundation. Sigma says that you can use a powder, a cream, or a liquid foundation with this specific brush. I love it for liquid and for cream products. I mean, I use it with powder and it works, but my preferred brush, it's the e.l.f. one for powder. I don't know why, but today I have a powder foundation, and this is the one that gives me the most full coverage effect on my face. So for me, I love to use it for cream foundations, for liquid, and I use it for more than that. So I will go through all the uses that I have for this specific brush. Another thing that I've been using a lot, I don't know if you've been following me for the past 2 weeks, but I've been using my Sonia Kashuk cream bronzer, and I love to use it with this brush. I would put the angle part up and come from the top of my ear and just go down like this, stippling the bronzer, and it gives me like a guide where I'm gonna be doing my contour. So I think that's kind of neat and different from other foundation brushes. Of course, if I'm gonna be using this one, it's way too big, I can't do that. If I'm gonna be using this one, it's kind of round, so it goes all over the place, but if I use something with an angle, it goes specifically into the hollows of my cheeks, and it kind of carves my contour, so it's amazing for that. If I want to blend it, I can blend it with this too. I mean, I've been using this not only with my Sonia Kashuk cream bronzer, but I've been using it with powder too. I think that it works the same way just because of the shape that this brush has, and once again, it's like a multi-purpose kind of brush, so I can just finish doing my foundation and just grab the same brush and contour with that. If I want to bronze my face, I usually like to use my buffing brush from Real Techniques because I think that it, and you know, it doesn't need to be precise, but if I really want to contour my face and make it look slimmer and, you know, just want to do the whole shabam, then I want to make sure that I do have this brush by me because it actually is the fastest way to contour, and that it comes out perfect every single time. Another thing that I've been using this brush for, it's for concealer. And let me tell you something, when I am in a hurry in the morning and I want to get ready, I usually don't use concealer, and I know I have really horrible dark circles, so what I do is I get a good coverage foundation, and what I would do is I would use my foundation to cover the dark circles and my dark lid. And what I do is, once again, the angle of this, it's amazing, so I put the angle part up and I will go like this, and it won't touch my lower lash line, so it won't mess up my lower lash line if I happen to have mascara like I do have right now or anything like that. It's so fast, it's so easy. This is like a giant hand that is pushing the product inside your skin. So it gives me full coverage, and at the same time, I don't need to go back with another brush and blend it or go with my beauty blender, because this not only applies the product, but it blends it at the same time, making it look seamless, and like I don't have any dark circles, but I don't look like the Kardashian kind of thing because I'm not using concealer. So it's more of a natural look. And if I'm in a hurry, I can use the same brush for foundation, I can use it for bronzer, and I can use it for my under eye. I do have another thing that I use this brush for, and this is for blush. And that is because I love to use cream blushes. I think it's one of the things that I love to do the most, just because I feel like if I want to have more natural kind of day, I can go to a peachy kind of cream blush and it will look nice. And if I want to do a very kind of crazy kind of blush day, I would just apply a little bit of cream blush, and then on top of that I will add another powder brush, and it will go and stay there for the entire day. So I do love this for blush, Once again, it has the angle. I will put the angle up and I will start right here, and then I'll start to move on this way and blend it at the same time. I love this for that reason. And I think, once again, if I'm doing my foundation, I'm doing my concealer, I'm doing my bronzer, and I'm doing my blush with the same brush, honestly, this is the brush that I've been going to every single day, because I don't want to spend the same amount of time that I will used to spend just with my foundation. This gives me great coverage no matter what foundation it is. Of course, if it's a lightweight foundation, it's gonna look more natural, but it will give me the most fuller kind of coverage that I can get with that specific foundation. And at the same time, it's gonna blend it, and at the same time, it's gonna be a third of the time that it took me before if I wanted to blend it with my fingers and then go with my beauty blender, or if I wanted to go with something like this and then go on top of it with the beauty blender. If you've been following my tutorials, you know that was how I worked, or how I rolled before. So once I discovered that this one is not only a multi-purpose but a time saver, I kind of love that idea. Go ahead and quickly compare this brush to other brushes that I have in my collection and that I've been using for probably a couple of years or so, and that I thought they were the bomb as far as foundation application. I'm not going to compare it as far as blush or bronzer, but I want to just tell you what things I've been using before I started using this foundation brush. And the first one is the Mary Kay foundation brush. This is only $10, and I love this because it gives me full coverage. Having said that, it takes me a really long time because, as you can probably tell, it's not the smallest foundation brush, but it takes time to kind of push the product in and make it look somewhat, you know, blended in. Every time I had to use that brush, I had to apply my beauty blender on top of that and blend everything because it would leave streaks behind. The other brush that I used to use for foundation, and that everybody talks about this brush, is the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. As you can tell, it's a very small brush, and I think that it takes me a really long time to use this brush. So I am very picky about my foundation. I can use all kinds of foundations, but I like a specific finish on my skin. I mean, if you like other finishes, they're fine. I mean, we're all different. But I'm telling you, I really take a long time in the morning to blend my foundation because I am crazy like that. So when I use this one, as you can see, it's really small, so I had to really take my time to blend everything in. It's kind of tapers. I also usually have to go like this, so it's kind of the same thing as this one. And it took me a really long time, and it leaves streaks behind, so I always had to go back to my beauty blender and blend everything. This is something that you probably would see in all of my tutorials. Every time I use a foundation brush, I usually go back with my beauty blender and remove all the streaks that it left behind. Another one that I've been using a lot before I got this brush from Sigma is the buffing brush from Real Techniques. This is, as you can tell, it's like a mop that it opens because it has long bristles. So I do like that, but it gave me a medium coverage foundation even with a full coverage foundation. It would take me 2 times, apply my foundation 2 times, like let it sit for a minute and then go once again to have more of a full coverage effect. And I always felt like it didn't blend very well into my hairline, so I always had to go back with my beauty blender and blend that in. Since I started using the Sigma one, I feel like I said, this is huge, and it has shorter kind of bristles, so it's more dense, and it's more, since it's more packed, it seems like it's like a hand. It's like your hand pushing the product in instead of some little bristles that are going all over the place because they're not dense enough. So, you know, I can totally do my foundation with any of these 3 brushes and my beauty blender, because I do feel like I need my beauty blender with any of these brushes. But I think it's really nice to use one brush that it actually can get the job done the first time. So if I want to apply foundation and make it look full coverage, then I just have to apply 1 layer all over my face and blend it, apply it and blend it with this brush, and it will look flawless every single time. It's easy enough that I can go into my hairlines with the angle part of this brush, and it will kind of blend it into my hairline, and you can't really see a difference, even if it doesn't match perfectly my foundation as it is right now because of my tan. So is it worth trying? I think it's worth trying. And this foundation brush is $24. I try to find alternatives to high-end things, but this is one of those things that I really think it's unique, different, and easy. So I really think it's worth the investment in this. One of the things that I can compare it to is when I bought my beauty blender. This was $20, and I've tried all kinds of sponges before, so I spent a lot of money before I started using this one itself. I think that I spent probably $40 before I actually bought this one, and this was only $20. So maybe I should have skipped all those other sponges that I have in my collection and they don't work, and just have gone ahead and got this one. So if I compare it as far as the experience, I can tell you that it's worth it, because it's one of those things that you use every single day. And even though they're totally different and I cannot get the same coverage with my beauty blender and with this one, I think that's one of the things that makes a difference. I know it's kind of $24 and maybe something that you're not comfortable enough to spend, but this is one of the products that you're gonna buy and you're not gonna have to repurchase every 3 months or every 6 months or every year, because they do last a really long time. So if you're thinking about getting a brush that it's gonna be multi-purpose and that it's gonna help you with your foundation, it's gonna have the time that you're gonna be applying this foundation in, you know, half or a third of what you used to do, then I would totally recommend you to get it. For me, it's worth buying, it's worth trying, and that it's gonna actually make your foundation or your makeup look 10 times better than what you were doing before if you didn't have any special tools for your foundation, or if you have some other stuff like I do have from the drugstore, or other products that I use or other brushes that I used before. I actually got this one, so I really think it's worth the investment. The only thing that I could say that I think it's not bad, but it's different from any other brushes that I have as far as foundation, is that this one takes longer to be washed because it has more bristles, as I mentioned before. But that's the only downside. I wash it every 2 days. I don't see any bristles coming off. I mean, it's just maybe it will take you longer to wash it because it's more dense, but at the end, I think if it's gonna make my foundation routine be easier and faster, I think it's totally worth it. So I know this review is kind of long, but you know that is it worth trying videos. Usually they're very long because I will give you everything that I know about the product, so you can decide for yourself if it's worth trying or not. I will leave the links down below as far as all the foundation brushes that I used before and this one right now. I do have a link and a discount code for Sigma if you're interested in checking that out. If you want to buy this brush, you don't need to use my link. You can go to sigmabeauty.com and you can buy it directly from there. I'm not recommending you this product because I'm gonna get anything out of it, but I would totally recommend you to try it. As I said before, you don't have to use the link. You can go ahead and purchase directly from them, and I think you're gonna be as impressed as I am with this product. So thank you for watching this video until the end. I love you guys, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.
Because I'm all about that bass,
No, you ain't need